at this point, everybody done lost their mind. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, #Movie Bae. I am Movie Bae, and if you are new here, be sure you drop down and hit that subscribe button. Here on Movie Bae, I do reviews, reactions, and commentary to movies and television. Today's video, we are going to be discussing episode 3 and 4 of The Covenant. Now let's get into it. Episode 3, day 4, starts as Lucky is awakened from a night terror of whatever happened in North Carolina. She goes to do the laundry and she finds out that someone is peeing on their sheets. She rips the sheet back and it's a little kid. It's a little kid pissing on their sheets, on their white sheets that I just cleaned, okay? Like, they done lost their mind. Oh, y'all have no idea. I wish I could have watched this episode with me, because as soon as he picked up that stick, I was like, what? And this shit took that stick. Took that stick with the quickness. And when I mean she chased old dude down, she was chopping. Lucky was chopping to get to that little boy. And now everybody looking at her like she the crazy one. See now? So she has no choice, or she decides to just and go back to her house. Since Henry took the girls out to go buy a TV, Lucky decides that she needs a break. She needs a break from all these white people. So she decides to go visit her in-laws in Watts. And when I tell y'all, this was such a beautiful scene. Like, I love this whole section of the show. When she got to Watts, she hopped off the bus and you just see beautiful black people being happy, friendly, living life, looking golden. And the music also, the music in this show, literally everything goes with the mood, with the moment. When she gets to the door, I am surprised to see Henry's cousin Hazel is Paula J. Parker. And I love Paula J. Parker. She is so underrated. I was just giddy, like at the edge of my bed, like I was just excited for what was about to come. And that whole scene, it was just so welcoming. Like, I felt like I was at home. Like, it was a nice turn from the show, because everything has kind of been really annoying and so heavy the first 2 episodes, that we get this lighthearted moment and just fun, and it was needed. It was very well needed for Lucky and for me, okay? While Lucky is there, she gets a hint about what happened to another family that lived in Compton, and Hazel was like, y'all need to hush all that noise, like, and just congratulate them and be safe. If you need us, call us. And I was like, love it. Oh, you gotta love it. Later on during their party, Hazel starts doing Lucky's hair and just starts making small talk, asking about the family. How are the girls? How is baby Chester? And we know that something happened to baby Chester. Baby Chester is no longer with the family, but apparently they didn't tell any of their family members what happened. And so Lucky just starts having flashes, and she just starts tweaking and has to leave because she's not doing well mentally after Chester is brought up. Meanwhile, Detective Betty is having secret rendezvous with the milkman, who is not nearly as attractive as her husband Clark. Like, girl. Betty has to cut their emotional affair short because she has a meeting later with the Plastics. When the Plastics come over, Betty basically force feeds the woman whose son was pissing on the Emery's sheets. She was like, that crazy woman had a stick. She was like, well, yeah, but I mean, my son, he's kind of bad. Like, we've had to beat him before too. And she was like, well, she was going to do this and do that. And it was like, girl, whose story is this to tell? Whose story is this to tell? If the mom isn't upset about it, why are you upset? This ain't your fight. This ain't your battle, mama. She just needed more ammunition to get everybody on 10, because she is so set on getting out the Emerys. So since Midge and Dale are leaving town, Betty proposes that Clark, her husband, leads the meeting. All of her homegirls are like, Clark? Like, what is Clark gonna do? Not only does Betty know that her husband is kind of like soft in their sense, even her friends and people in the neighborhood are like, nah, he not a leader. Like, no, sis. Betty was just insists that Clark's gonna handle it. So, all right, whatever you say, Betty. After Henry and the girls get home from buying a TV, Henry goes to the roof to set it up. While he is up there, the neighborhood husbands decide to come and try to be big bad wolves and try to threaten and intimidate Henry like, your wife chased my son down with a stick. We either gonna come up there or you gonna come down here. And Henry is like, I want to see you do it. And I tell y'all, like, they started just like, well, it was your son. What you gonna do? Like, I'm like, y'all some PUSS and y'all know the rest. How you gonna come over in my yard talking all that hot stuff and then back down because, oh, black people are as strong as apes and King Kong? Yeah, okay. Believe that. Whatever gets you off my lawn, because I will be that, okay? They decide that they're going to handle it later at their homeowners association's meeting. At the meeting, they're kind of like holding off until Clark gets there. Clark is a no-show, and one of the other neighborhood husbands, he decides to take the stand and with the plan on getting out the Emerys, the black family. He was like, you know, we're just going to stand our ground, keep doing what we're doing. Slow and steady wins the race. Like, they'll eventually get fed up and want to leave. Betty, y'all know Betty. Betty on 10. Betty ain't having no slow and steady, okay? She's not the tortoise. She is the hare. So Betty decides to take a stand and become strong-arm Betty. Betty was talking some crazy talk. Betty was like, black people have spent their lives being servants and mammies while our fathers built this country. I was like, and some people really think like that. So she uses the men's masculinity against them and says, if I was a man, if I was the head of my household, I would want to protect my wife and my family at all costs. You know, once you use that talk to men, it's like, well, yeah, I am a man. I gotta protect my family. And so I'm not gonna lie, Betty knew what to say in order to get the muscle that she needed. Her reasoning, her tactics, intelligent. And y'all all know Clark was a no-show, but her little side piece, the milkman, he's all like gung-ho Betty. He's just really into it. And that makes Betty like, see, I knew we were like this. Which further feeds her emotional affair. Lucky is now on her way home from Watts, and she has to take the bus to get home. On that bus, she falls asleep and has a dream that she's being attacked by a man in a black hat. Let's talk about this scene. I hated it. For this show to be a thriller, for it to be a horror, I expected to be thrilled. I expected to be horrored. I don't think that's horrored. I expected to be horror. I was not scared. I wasn't on the edge of my seat. I wasn't really worried. It was giving Netflix movie. They could have definitely did something more to make it more eerie. I wasn't here for that. I was just like and then that one, you just knew like she was tweaking. The only part about that scene that I did like is when she awoke. She was, you know, petrified in the real world, but her reflection on the bus was more so like really hurt and injured. I like when they do the little subtleties. They did it again in another later on in one of these episodes, but we'll get to that later. The bus driver calls the police on Lucky, and the police officer who came to their house during her gun incident is the one to take her home. He basically tries to say, hey, like, you know, I understand it's the pressure of trying to fit in, you know, in order to elevate your family, to protect your family. I understand that you go a little mad sometimes, especially being out here in the suburbs, coming from the South, from the country where there's open air, where there's open fields and fresh air. Lucky was like, I'm not crazy. So she decides to go in and tell her husband, Henry, what happened. And Henry is like, You crazy. So the theme of this episode was basically the men letting down their women. One thing I like about the writing of this episode of this show thus far is, in my head, I keep comparing it to Little Fires Everywhere. It's like it's two different families, two different, you know, things going on, but they're intertwined so much. Like, they have so much in common that they really don't know. And it's like Betty's husband Clark let her down when he didn't come to the meeting, and Henry let Lucky down when he didn't believe her about the things that she's been seeing and what she's been experiencing. So, yeah. At the end of the episode, because Betty was mad at Clark, she told him that he had to make it up to her. So him and the neighborhood husbands, they get fuel, and Clark goes to the yard, and, you know, he's pouring gasoline all over the yard, and he pulls out the matches, and he couldn't bring himself to light it. I love Clark. We stand Clark over here. One of the husbands yanks the match from him and matches from him, and like, do your wife gotta hold it for you while you pee too? And like, they just be doing Clark so wrong just cause he not an evil person. Like, so the other husband lights the match and throws it on the yard, and it's set ablaze, and the camera pulls back and it says N-word heaven. Episode 4. Episode 4, day 5. Henry awakes, goes outside, and sees what the neighbors have done to their home. They have hung black dolls from around their house. They're all over the yards, and then now you have charted grass that reads N-word heaven. And these dolls are defaced. They are dressed up in degrading figures, and they're hanging, and it's just really, really like, y'all trying it, like y'all pushing it, yo. While Henry is outside, little white kids are in their front yards, like, just, like, really? Like, really? Like, little kids. We saw the last episode that one of the little boys peed on their sheets. Like, how? Your sheet, bro. I mean, like, at that age, you kind of do just absorb everything. But if your parents are still teaching you morals and how to be a decent human being, something in you should be like, this isn't right. Time for the girls to go to school. It's little Grace's first day of kindergarten, and they start their day off as such. Henry goes in and says, sometimes people are what? The girls say, fools. He was like, exactly. And we don't entertain fools nor foolishness. So when we go outside, you go straight to the car. Don't even entertain nothing. Go to the car, lock the door. Lucky sees through the window what has been done to the yard. Lucky is ready to throw hands. Lucky is ready to go off. Henry has to calm her down and give her some options. Here are the options. I thought they were funny. 1, I can go get my 45 and go shoot all these honkies down. Lucky was like, really? He was like, and then I go to jail. Then they take the kids from you. She was like, he's like, option number 2, I could stay home. And she was like, but then you'll lose your job. He was like, option number 3, we can just ignore them. After all that we've been through, we can ignore some dolls. Like, we got this. He calms her, he brings her back down, gets in the car, takes the girls to school. Lucky like, yeah, okay. She see Betty step on her front porch. Lucky take that step. Betty take that step. And Lucky like, okay, let's do it. She goes straight to Betty's yard. She confronts Betty. She's like, basically, we're not going anywhere. Betty like, why would you want to stay somewhere where you're not welcome? Lucky is like, girl, I'm getting used to it. Like, what you mean? And then Betty's like, well, you got kids to think about. It's like, well, good thing you don't have any. And y'all know what they do to Betty. Y'all know what not having kids do to Betty. Like, I was like, Lucky, you don't even know. You just twisted it with that. Like, yes, sis. Wave to the neighbors. Hey. Y'all have a good day. Boop. That's how you do that. Fed up, Betty has another rendezvous with her little milkman. So annoying. He's so not Clark, okay? She basically confides in him and tells him that she wishes she doesn't have to lead. She wishes she could take a day off and just relax and what I got from it, let a man be a man. This is just music to the milkman's ears. He's like, I'm here with you. Like, I would be lying if I tell you that your words didn't move me, and I'm ready to take a stand. And Betty, I don't even know if she really liked the milkman or she just is using him as a pawn to do her dirty work, but it's working. Henry has made it to work, and we see how he basically gets ignored in the elevator by his coworkers, and he finds out about a company party in which he was not invited to. Henry goes anyway. While at this party, his boss is like, what you doing here? Henry's like, well, I just decided to drive by. At the meeting, one of their, I don't know, I guess it's like the man in charge, he expresses how they got a big deal with the Pentagon, and every architect is going to be, and every engineer, every architect is going to be compensated from the profits of the sale. And this makes Henry exclaim. I feel like he's not going to be a part of that compensation. That's probably why his boss didn't want him to come. So he tries to sneak Henry out the back door, and Henry like, yeah, okay, hold on. He goes and introduces himself to the head man in charge, and they bond over military conversation. Something that his boss probably didn't even know, probably didn't even ask, and definitely can't relate to. Immediately, Henry got that man's respect. He got a handshake, looked dead in the eye, and it's like, that's how you do that right there. They want to sneak you through the back and take your contribution without you getting any praise. I like that Henry took a stand. But I forgot to mention, while he's at this party, Henry started tripping, and he sees the dancing man that has on blackface, the same that he saw while they went to go purchase the TV. So Henry is also seeing things. Like, it's not just his wife and his daughter. Speaking of his daughter, we get to see Ruby while she's at school. She gets her lunch and she sits by herself. Everybody scoots over because they lame. But her friend Doris comes up to her and is like, hey, come on, like, let's go. I want to show you something. When I tell you I was so scared, I was like, don't go. It's a setup. It's a setup. Don't go. Don't trust her. So Doris takes Ruby to go spy on some kids making out, and then once they get caught, they run and hide in the janitor's closet. In the janitor's closet, they talk, and Doris is basically like, you know, you're so beautiful, and she unbuttons Ruby's top button. She puts lipstick on her lips and eyeshadow on her eyes, and she's like, you're so beautiful. You should try out for the cheerleading team, and you can always be better. The janitor opens the closet and catches them in there, or does he? Because he only sees Ruby. I was like, I know you lying. And once Ruby leaves the janitorial closet and he closes the door back, we see a like decayed Doris. So that's confirmed that Doris is a figment of her imagination. And that goes back to my first video when I was analyzing episode 1, that how Ruby was reading magazines with Marilyn and Doris Day in it. And I was like, and then she meets a friend named Doris. Y'all caught on? Y'all here with me? Okay. So now it's confirmed that everybody in the family seeing something. Gracie is seeing Miss Vera. Ruby is imagining Doris. The dad is seeing blackface characters. And the mom just all over the place. She's seeing everybody and having all types of internal thoughts that I feel like is PTSD from what happened with baby Chester. With the remaining of her day, after getting into it with Betty, Lucky decides to go to the real estate agent and say, we selling. We not living here no more. I needs to get out. Real estate agent basically is like, you can't. Like, you'll be in so much debt. Like, it's best to just stay here, thug it out, because more black families are dying to move to this area. So it won't be long. Like, you won't be the only family for long. She mentions another family that she had placed in Compton as well, and Lucky decides to go pay the Johnsons a visit. Miss Johnson, Ella Mae Johnson, who is played by Anika Noni Rose. Love her. So talented. And when I say talented, she shows it in this scene, okay? For sure. If I ever had any doubts, which I didn't, she definitely shows it in this scene. This scene was so... Let's talk about it. Miss Johnson explains to Lucky how they face mistreatment as well. They had nails in the driveway. They were yelling outside their doors, outside their windows, all times of the night. They left letters in their mailbox threatening their children. And Miss Johnson discusses how she basically had to take control of the situation by just paying attention to her own home, her own family. And initially I was like, let's just ignore them and take care of our home, right? No, Miss Johnson started tripping. She said that she also was paid a visit by the man in the black hat. And when Lucky hears that, she's like, because you know, Lucky was attacked by a man with a black hat on the bus. That's when things get really creepy. Well, she started off by taking a bath every hour, scrubbing her skin raw, reciting a biblical verse, talking about, I forgot which one it was, but it relates to clean and be as white as snow. She was done cleaning herself, she had to clean her boys too. And Lucky was like, speaking of, where are your kids? Miss Johnson turns to her husband, who is decapitated at the knees. I initially didn't really think anything of it because I kind of related it to military because there were pictures of him in the background with his military outfit on. But she asked her husband, like, where are the kids? And then the oven dings and she was like, there they are. I was like, oh no, she didn't cook the kids. No, she didn't cook the kids. When Lucky went in that kitchen and saw blood everywhere and black smoke coming from the oven, this isn't the first time we heard of a black family in Compton skinning their kids alive and XYZ. So it's like, this is a phenomenon that's going on to every black family that moves in that area, which just makes me want to know why, like, what is going on. I just need the answers already. Lucky hauls ass out of that house and she is running and she is not looking back. I liked how in that scene, while Miss Johnson is talking, more specifically when she started talking about the man in the black hat, the audio picks up more on the radio. And if you pay attention, it's a Christian station where they're reciting scriptures from the Bible, but they're talking about possession, like being possessed. Meanwhile, just like Lucky went to the real estate agent to try to sell, Betty has decided to go home to see her family, her mother and her father, in hopes of getting a loan so her and Clark can sell their home and move elsewhere. We get an insight to Betty's background story and was not expecting that. So her father is happy that she is home or came to visit, and her mother is like, I really wish you didn't come here. I was thinking that, okay, maybe the dad's just like, I really miss her, like, this is my daughter, and the mom just didn't like her because obviously Betty has a stank attitude. Betty's father basically is like insisting that she stay overnight, that he'll run her a bath and she can get some food on her stomach, normal things. When her father walks off to go do that, Betty turns to her mother and basically begs her, can you please just write the check? I was like, what is going on here? Betty goes upstairs with her towels, and then you see her father, who is Healy from Orange is the New Black, being Healy from Orange is the New Black, just being weird. He's in the background taking off his clothes in the bathroom as well. Disturbing. So from what can be implied, Betty was molested by her father, I'm pretty sure, her entire life, which is why her father was happy that she came back home, and her mother was like, I really wish you didn't come back, because now that you're here, you know what's going to happen, basically. Betty is clearly traumatized, and I'm just so happy that she mustered up to the strength to run out of that house. When she finally gets back home, her and Clark, they have a little conversation, and she just basically was like, I'm not mad that you didn't come to the meeting. I'm upset that you didn't want to be there. It hasn't been made, obviously. They have a difference of opinion. Clark doesn't really care too much about getting the Emerys out, and that's all Betty can think about. She is a stay-at-home wife, and she doesn't contribute to the household financially, and that's also where they kind of clash as well. So they're having troubles in their household. Meanwhile, Lucky gets her family, packs them up to go see the Johnsons, because she was like, Henry, you're going to see this, and you're going to believe me this time. When she gets to the Johnsons' house, of course, everything is cleaned up and everything is normal. So she's made to look like she's crazy again. Now, one thing about Miss Johnson, though, she did address Lucky by her name. So it's like, okay, so she was really here. Like, they really did meet. They really did converse. If it went the same way in her head that she thought, that's what I want to know. Like, is she really tripping, or is it happening and it's just being cleaned up? After that crazy night, for some reason, when Lucky and Henry get home, they put their daughters to bed. Lucky is in the mood to have sexual intercourse, and she starts kissing and caressing her husband. And in the back, in the corner, you see the man with the black hat. I was like, why would you be in the mood after that? Nobody should really be in the mood after that. But she was. And I feel like it wasn't her. NC. Thank you so much for tuning into my YouTube channel. Be sure you drop down, comment, like, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Be sure in the comments, don't spoil the entire season. We just talking about 3 and 4 on this episode. Feel free to comment anything from 1 and 2 as well. Be sure you subscribe, because I'm doing 2 episodes a video until the series is finished. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. It's a date.